Thanks for staying here on News Desk. It's now time to talk about arguably the most talked about subject matter in Ghana at the moment. And the minority is demanding a detailed breakdown of the $4.5 million spent on the Ghanaian delegation that went to the just ended AFCON tournament in Egypt. The Black Stars, tipped as pre-tournament favorites, suffered a round of 16 exits, dashing the hopes of many football lovers in Ghana. Prior to their departure, there were calls for their budget to be made public, but that wasn't done, prompting members of parliament to demand detailed briefing by the sports minister when he returned. In a statement on the floor of the House Wednesday, Sports Minister Isaac Isiama said out of an amount of $6.3 million budgeted for the team's campaign, $4.5 million was spent, leading to a saving of $1.7 million as a result of the early exit, if you may, of the Black Stars. Listen to him.
A budget of $6,365,033.84 was approved for the tournament, comprising training tour, main tournament, and related activities. Now, the actual expenditure, Mr. Speaker, emphasis, actual expenditure, Mr. Speaker, an amount of $4,564,352 was expended from the training tour to the time Ghana exited from the main tournament. Mr. Speaker, now the breakdown, and here the details. Airfare, $924,168. Per diem for players, $187,050. Per diem for technical staff, $129,600. Per diem for additional technical staff, $90,750. Winning bonus for players, $95,405. Winning bonus for technical team, $347,207. Winning bonus for additional technical team, $177,000. That's $177,000. Accommodation, and here includes pre-tournament camping and of course camping facilities. Also for the playing body, and of course the main tournament itself for members of the GFA, some who were there, old players who were there, some of them, Ghana Supporters Union, ministry officials, journalists, and of course members of parliament. And that amount is $1,143,509. Medicals across board, $44,574. Visa fees, $8,541. Internal transportation, $43,092. Incidentals, $42,057. So total is, as I said, 4,546,350. I repeat, 4,546,350. $4,506,000. So they keep the difference here. The difference here of $635 million and $464 million will return to government chest. That's a difference of $1,079 will return to government chest. That is the difference.
Well, ranking member of the Youth and Sports Committee, Kobina Mensah-Woyome, wants the ministry to provide a more detailed breakdown of the amount spent at the tournament.
What was presented to us today, apparently to them, because we're also hearing other figures, that that was what was spent. And so we will do our further work in terms of oversight, and possibly by the close of the week, we'll come up with what we think are findings also. The worry is how items have been lumped up together. We would want to know the breakdown of the figures as was called by myself and then the other contributors, so that we can then situate in terms of what the minister himself actually stated, that he is for three things, and one of which is value for money, and then we all then can speak to it. We want these figures at least breakdown for us to then understand, what went into, for instance, the players, what went into those itemized line items. Those line items, about 6 of them. We would want to find out, what by way of programs that have been outlined to be implemented, the figures associated with those programs and all that. That is what we do. That is why I think, just to speak the minds of the people out there, is that, yes, how much did it cost the taxpayer? And that is what we are responsible for, by our oversight. And so we were there, we saw a few things, definitely we will not have hands-on in terms of the exact figures that were spent. And so we can speak to it. And I think the chairman also indicated that the committee will start doing some work. I'm just hoping that he will call a meeting as quickly as possible so we can begin to delve into some of the matters, whilst we're also looking out for those who will give us and feed us with some information so that we can also be able to, see the real issues.
Well, if you get onto social media, there are quite a number of Ghanaians who are also calling for more details on how we spent this amount at the just ended AFCON. I've got George Addo Jr. here with me. We're just going to try to understand. I know there are a lot of questions on your mind. George, we budgeted over $6.3 million
US dollars for the tournament.
and then we spent $4.5 million, exited at a round of 16. Many argue that if we had reached the final, we would have gone beyond our budget.
Definitely.
True assessment?
Definitely, because that's about 70% of your budget. When you spend 4.5 at the round of 16, knowing that Ghana is a team that normally ends up in the semi-final. You had the quarter-final game. If they won it, you're going to pay them money. If they won the semi-final game, yes, you're going to pay money. If they won the third place game or the final, you're going to pay money. So definitely, we're going to spend much more. It's an interesting budget, and I understand why everybody is calling for the breakdown, because I'll take you to 2-3 areas in the budget. Let's do the accommodation bit, because accommodation, is actually one of the huge figures in there. Now, accommodation was $1,143,519 US. Now, that's huge a number, but for those who are getting confused, it's because the government ended up taking care of close to 300 supporters, out there in Cairo. And of course the players and all of that coming together. So there's a big issue we have to sort out with the supporters, because you know that the Commission of Inquiry, the Jamafia Commission of Inquiry, the white paper did indicate how we had to go about dealing with supporters. So how did this happen? Did government go ahead to take care of supporters, airlifted them, and that's how come we're having this accommodation figure there. Now for the airfare, the match tickets, the feeding, all of that, like you mentioned, number one, you had ex-football players, you had members of the Ghana Football Association, you had members of parliament, all being catered for. And it indicates how huge, that's why these figures are so huge. Another area that is very confusing is, what was the bonus structure of the Black Stars?
Exactly.
Because we can understand. In the 2017 Africa Cup of Nations, we know that there was a qualification bonus given to the Black Stars for qualifying out of the group. And that was $15,000 US. And so you could do your analysis and say that every game, perhaps, if they won, it was $5,000. Now, in this tournament, we won just one game against Guinea-Bissau. We played 4 games, won 1. And the Black Stars took home a value of approximately $42,000 US. So
per player.
Per player. So how was the breakdown done? I mean, did they decide to give them $10,000 per match? If that was the case, why do we have 42,000? Because I even said, okay, if they qualified out of the group and your qualification bonus was 30,000, then what happens with the excess? So the sports minister needs to come back and explain to us, one, what was the bonus structure of the Black Stars? Why did they end up with $42,000? We can understand. At least in 2017, we understood that the qualification bonus was 15,000, and we could go down and do, the analysis, coming in. So the bonus structure is a big one. The other key issue too is about the incidentals. I don't know what incidentals are, and because you look at the figure, we don't know what it is. They need to come out and explain to us what the incidentals
It could also be miscellaneous.
Whatever, but you see the figure. Look at the figure for incidentals.
It's about
42,576,000. I mean US dollars. $42,576 US. And we're doing the analysis with the additional technical staff. We're talking about the players. You're doing the breakdown, how much they took. It's a very critical area that they need to sort out.
Okay, George, there's a lot we can do with this, but let's focus on one of the areas that also took a large chunk of our budget, which is transportation.
Transportation.
I get the understanding that once teams get into tournament, buses are provided, transportation is catered for by CAF or FIFA, whichever sport regulatory
that rule
body
has
is.
been tweaked a little bit by CAF.
Okay.
So I would agree that some amount of money went in. So it's actually something that CAF and the football associations handle. Okay. That rule has been tweaked. Initially, it was you go into the tournament and they take care of everything. But from the latest one that we've got, and I'll be sharing the articles later, you realize that CAF and the association involved will have to share. So some money went into it. But the figure, as I was saying, is not only about the Black Stars. It's because the Minister of Sports indicated that there were other category of supporters that they took, including
do we
members of parliament.
Yes. Do we understand why the budget was presented in this way, in this format?
You see,
why not detailed?
Why not detailed? He's promised that there's going to be a detail. To be fair to him, but number one, why didn't we get the budget before the tournament? And so this all feels like expenses. And if you think about it, if we did budget 6.3 million, truly, that's why people have a problem with the figure. Because if we did budget 6.3 million for a tournament in which Ghana in the last 8 years has ended up in the semi-finals, you would not spend 4.5 at the round of 16 stage. And another, so even the round figure itself, because if round of 16 you spend 4.5, seems to suggest that you're around 8 million or that. It doesn't feel.
Yeah. And George, we quickly need to wrap this up. We're running out of time. Yes. But for many other people, it's the business sense of it. So you're going into a tournament which is awarding $4.5 million for the winning team. Yeah. Was this a good investment? Some have also argued that yes, but football brings us more than the initial cash you receive as a tournament. Yeah. So let's just say government decided that let's invest in this. If Ghana had possibly won, would largely get more return, not instantaneously though. So would you call this a good investment or total waste of resources?
Let me say this. At this point, we don't know the breakdown. It's always great to put in money, and nobody has said anywhere that if the prize money is 4.5, you can spend beyond 4.5. Whatever you do, there must be enough justification for the money you're putting out there. So if you want to spend 10 million to want to win 4.5, you must explain, and we must verify from those who said took the money, and there has to be the justification bit. Then we can say that, yeah, we are putting in money for something good. But at the moment, there's none of that. And until that happens, it will look like we wasted some money until we can get all these things in.
All right, thank you very much, George Addo Jr. Then that's how we end this edition of News Desk. Thanks for your company. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I'm Bernice Abubedu-Lansa. Up next is Joy News Interactive with Selinam Ampo. Do stay.